divorce rate right now is 52%. And we even know that it's going to be greater than that. Okay? It's still going on. So, how many of you are going to be divorced at least once? Okay. I can no longer keep the divorce rate up all by myself. I've been working on it. I think I'm doing a very good job. But I can't. Here's the point. This is disturbing. We have this penchant to think that we're going to find a very special person. The one. That person, that man or woman who meets all our needs, is perfect for us. You'll have beautiful, above-average children. The sex will always be as good as it was the first few months. And in 50 years, you'll be walking holding hands on the beach. That's clearly not going to happen. Okay? For a few reasons. One is that that's a myth. That's what the movies tell us. That's what the songs tell us. That's what the books tell us. But no one ever teaches us. No one ever teaches us how to love. No one really teaches us about relationships. Maybe if you're lucky, maybe your parents said, hey, let's have the sex talk, you know? But maybe once. Maybe not at all. Maybe it's like, here's a book. You know? See what you can do with it. So we're kind of left to our own devices here. But we're affected by this myth, this belief, that we're going to meet that special person, and we're searching for that person, and you're going to meet him in D Hall. Okay? Out of all the places on the planet, because remember, there's that one special person, you're going to meet that person here. Now, this I know is disturbing because most everyone has that fantasy, that there's that one right person, and it's not true. Okay? First of all, the divorce rate's really high. Secondly, just because you're married, it doesn't mean the relationship's not over. One of my greatest fears in high school, wasn't very advanced as a high schooler, but that was a fear I had, not because of my parents. I had the most perfect parents in the world. But I feared that you're with someone, the relationship's over, and you stay married another 5, 10, 15 years, ostensibly for the children. Great. Great. To teach your children what a bad relationship is like. People who sleep in different bedrooms, people don't talk to each other, people argue a lot, they don't touch each other much, things like that. Then we have another part of it. I have several disturbing themes. So we get with somebody, we find somebody we like, and we immediately say, you know what, I'm going to try to make this person fit my needs. I meet this woman, I want her to fit my needs because I'm insecure and I need somebody else to make me feel good about myself. Now, if I was really complete, or on my way to being complete, I wouldn't want somebody, I would want an equal, but we really want people to meet our needs. So it's really selfish to begin with. And the other problem with that is that the other person's doing the same thing to you. Somebody thinks it's fun. So where are we here? You know, we have a relationship started that is, that first of all, we're going into it with a fantasy. Okay? Almost every relationship we get into, and admit this, okay, you don't have to say anything, but you know that we test people out. You meet somebody, maybe at a party or whatever, you get to know somebody and you're thinking, she could want it. Is it possible? I mean, maybe, you know, I'm not going to jump on this whole thing, but maybe she could be the one. What a standard to subject someone to right away. And again, like we talked about, that's moving to the future. All of a sudden, we get with somebody and we're thinking, okay, is this the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with? You know, I should check out her family to see if there's any insanity in the family, you know, which I haven't every time. So, you know, I do that now. So we have these unreasonable standards, and already we're not even in a relationship, and already the standards up here, you want him or her to meet your needs. You're thinking of this person being the person you might be with forever. How can you even imagine that? And it's too much pressure. It's too much pressure on a relationship, and it's way too selfish. It's way too selfish. So I think what happens is that we get to the point where we get into relationships because they're not always that healthy. And you know what, I've got to tell you, your parents aren't going to tell you. You know, if you ask your parents, hey, are you all happy? Oh yeah, honey, we're happy. They're not going to tell you. They're not going to say, God, your father sucks. Your mother drives you nuts. No, and if it's to that point, the kids are hearing it, you know it's really over. But sometimes relationships become grown-ups making deals. Okay? So we get into a relationship. And now, because I'm insecure, I don't want my girlfriend hanging around with any other man. Not because I'm worried about her, I'm worried about me because I'm jealous. Okay? And remember this, remember nothing else tonight. No trust, no relationship. If you're a woman and you have a boyfriend and he wants to go hang out, or maybe he says, hey, you know, there's this woman I'm friends with, I want to hang out with her. And you say, no, you can't do that. Why would you say no? You don't want him, cutting him off from half the people on the planet, 51% of the people on the planet? You don't want him to evolve and change. You don't trust him. Now, if he's cheated on you before, you're not in a relationship. So if you're really worried about him, you don't have anything going anyway. Okay? So then we start making deals. Okay, so I won't hang around with women and what can I make you do? You know? So we start to narrow our worlds because we're insecure. I've never understood how that works. I've never understood how people get away with that. I've never understood how people put up with it. And of course, I'm much more sensitive to women on it because you guys put up with us. And I have no idea in the world why you do that. Why you put up with our bad behavior, why you put up with us. You know, most women want to have children and not marry them. It'll take you a little while. So we have this thing of grown-ups making deals. You know, what deals are you making? I mean, I hope while I'm talking, you're thinking about your own bad relationships. Okay? Which probably looked good when you came into the room. Okay, well, I guess not. So there can be a lot of people talking to their partners tonight, saying, you know what? We suck. We're not having a relationship. It's not working. And it might be true. And it might be true. And you know, why not examine it? Why not examine it? Why not make it better? That's not. Okay, so what about this? Times are changing. Things are very different than they were before, even 10 or 20 years ago. Okay, when this whole myth about marriage and romance and everything else that we're all still swooning over. Okay, that it's got to be a certain way, and I'm going to hold tight to it. Okay, and I know there are people in the room saying, "Yeah, I kind of believe what he said," but I'm going to find him. I am going to find that Mr. Right. And then when you hit 30, you'll be looking for Mr. Okay. Something else. But I'm going to stick with it. I know this idea of the myth of marriage, the myth of romance. Yeah, I understand it, but I'm holding out for the right person, for that person. Okay? And I've heard it again and again over the years, and I don't see it work. So maybe, because the world is the way it is, maybe we have relationships that are completed. Relationships are developmental. How can you, at 20, 21, 22, 30, actually tell somebody, I'm going to be with you the rest of my life, without making some dramatic changes or compromises? And compromises are fine in relationships. But sacrifice, I don't think is. I don't think we should measure our love by sacrifice. Okay? I've given up my life, my career, what I wanted to do because you wanted to move to Alaska for your job, and I'll just go with you. You know, you get to live once, and it's a really short period of time, and you can't give away too many years. You know, a close friend of mine a few months ago called up, this was after her divorce, and she said, Eric, I wasted 11 years of my life with Jen. I wasted 11 years of my life. She was absolutely haunted by it. And I knew it all along. I knew what was going on. And somehow she couldn't see it, and then when she saw it, it was like, wow, now what do I do with that? Well, you get going, of course. You get moving, but what do you do with that time? Like, who was I? Where was I? So relationships are developmental. And maybe we come together with people and we have a relationship that's healthy for the time, and then it's over, and it's okay. And you say, this was really good. You know? When people ask me, they say, oh, well, you've had, more than one marriage, lots more. And wow, that's too bad. I remember I was at the gym with my mom at our place in Florida, and Mom was bragging to her friends about me in some odd way about marriage. And her friend came up and she said, oh, Eric, she said, you'll find someone. And I said, I did. 4 times. And she was like, okay, and she just moved on. But, this idea of completed relationships, it doesn't mean you failed. Because if you don't look at it this way, if you test if every relationship you're in is a test, is this one going to last forever? That means every relationship you've been in, including the one you're in, because it hasn't lasted forever yet, is a failure. If the only standard is walking together on the beach when you're 70 or 80 or 90 years old, if that's the only standard of a successful relationship forever, nobody has completed it yet. You don't complete it until you're there, I guess, so nobody's done it yet. So every relationship you had is a failure? You haven't had relationships where you said, I'm glad I was with that person. And we learned some things together, and then we moved on. I hope you have some of those. I hope not every relationship you've been in, you said, oh my God, when it was over, I cried, and I was miserable, and I tore my hair out, and I was depressed, and all this kind of stuff. So maybe the idea of completed relationships. And I know it's hard for people to say, hey, let's get together for a year or 2. Is that really that bad? Is it? They're developmental. Your work is done with the person. No one wants to think that way because you're sitting next to your boyfriend or girlfriend and you're going, no, this is not completed. It's never going to be completed. We are meant to be together. And we'll be together in heaven, too. So, our commitment in relationships should not be to ourselves. Okay? If you really want to love, this is unsolicited advice. Okay? You showed up, so you're stuck. I see love in this way. It's not like, what can I get out of it? If I'm with a woman, what can I get that will make me feel good? Actually, I feel pretty good on my own. And my friends, lovers, they add something to it. Okay? But I think real love is a commitment to someone else's evolution. Okay? When I was with one of my partners and she said, how are we going to stay together? I'm going to be working in Latin America some, and I want to go to graduate school up in Philadelphia. What do we do if we have kids? And I said, well, I've already raised 2 kids on my own. So you being away wouldn't make that much difference. And I know it was very important for Korean to be able to do that. And I'm not going to say, well, no, if we're married, no, you can't do that stuff. I'm sorry. Because you have to be here to meet my needs. And how can you be married to someone who's gone for 3 months or 4 months a year? And I'm not saying, giving yourself up. Saying, okay, whatever you want, I'll give you. It's different, this idea of being committed to someone else's evolution. What is good for that person? I would never want to stop my partner, girlfriend, wife, whatever, from meeting new people, from having new friends, from doing things she wanted to do. Why would I want to stop her from doing that? Because I'm afraid she'll cheat on me? If she finds somebody else who's better for her than me, I would want her to be with that person. I'm serious. I don't want somebody to say, well, I really fell in love with somebody else, but I'm with you, so I guess I'll just kind of stay. Thanks. It's like the door prize of love. Like you're almost good enough. So, I think this is where it stands. I think most everybody in the room is in denial. Okay? And you're saying, no, I'm not. You figure that out. I think what we need to do is to re-envision relationships, okay? When we first talk of marriage, the marriage contract, okay? I too have an English degree. And when we studied the marriage contract, that came about during the Middle Ages, and it was really easy to get married because you got married at 13 and you died at 31. You know, almost everybody can make it through that, especially when you don't have any food. You're poor. You know, you're not thinking, hey, you know, things are really great. I'm going out to play golf, or I'm going to go to the club or something. But it was based on what's called elective affinity. Listen to this. This is what love was. Elective affinity means sexual attraction. If you were sexually attracted to somebody, that meant you were in love with that person. Now, I know we can still confuse that a lot. Okay? Infatuation versus love. And if you know what they are, you can have fun with both. I love infatuation. Wow. Love's good too. Infatuation's great. You know, ego. But we've based our current understanding, our current practices of marriage on a medieval institution. In the Middle Ages were the worst time in the history of human beings. I mean, I think most people would agree this is a terrible time. You know, there's a reason they call them the Dark Ages. Okay? And so that's where we come up with marriage, and we're still following it. We're still trying to make it happen, and we're still trying to get through. It's become faith-based. It's like becoming a religion. I just believe in it. I believe that I can find him, I can find her, and it will be perfect. Okay? Good luck with that.